So, here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives, but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Steve Schalintz. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio, and I am in the car again. You guys know at this point I travel quite a bit. Sometimes I'm flying, sometimes I'm driving. It really just depends on flight patterns and availability and what I'm able to get from the practice to coaching and where I'm at. And so, right now I'm on the road, and I was thinking be really good. I've been on the road now for about 7 hours, that I would record a podcast episode. So you guys know that I really have two main areas of focus, and I was really thinking about where I was going to bring this episode and what I was going to talk about. And my two areas of focus have been case acceptance for dentists and mindset and entrepreneurship for others. And the reality is, when it comes down to it, almost everything that I do is sales based. And I firmly believe that sales is one of the most overlooked aspects in everything that we do. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to study with some of what I consider masters in the sales process. Bob Proctor is a master at sales. Grant Cardone is a master of sales. And I've been studying with Bob for 5 years now, actually. I think it's been 5 years. It's insane. And I've been a consultant for his company for 3 years. And, passively learning from Grant Cardone and Russell Brunson and these masters of sales, right? And when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about in this episode, I wanted to create some value for you when it comes to your sales process, because I work with dentists a lot when it comes to case acceptance. And I spend a lot of time with dentists that are trying to create a much more comprehensive approach to what they do. So they have a lot of high-end technical skills. They're trying to deliver that. Their cases might be $20, $30, $40, $50,000, and that sales environment is different. And I was thinking a lot about what I kind of encounter, whether it's a patient or whether it's a dentist, and I'm talking about some of the high-end coaching services that I provide, and really working with doctors at a deeper level. That takes a different process. And if I'm getting on a phone with a dentist and I'm on a coaching call and I ultimately think that they may benefit from a higher level service, I know that usually what people will do is they have two objections, right? They have an objection that is kind of spoken, that they think makes logical sense for me to why I wouldn't want to continue with the sales process or closing a client, for example. So let me give you a great example. If I'm working with a dentist and I'm talking about taking them through thinking into results, which is to me the highest level service that I can provide without doing one-on-one coaching, they'll tell me something that they think I want to hear that would make sense for me logically to why I wouldn't want to continue. So it might be, the timing's not right. I just started a practice. I'm in the middle of a transition with my practice, and I don't really want to, rock the boat right now, and things like that. Now that may be the true objection, but what you will find most often is that that's not the actual objection. There is an unspoken objection that they also have that they're just not telling you. So what they tell you is almost never the reason that they're not going to go forward, right? So the reality might be maybe their unspoken objection is actually a money objection, but they didn't bring it up. So they might say, well, my practice is in transition right now, and I just got to find the time. And they might feel embarrassed telling you, if I'm working with a dentist, hey, I just don't have the money right now, right? And so they won't tell you that. But if you go now, and here's the key. So if you go and continue to try to work around the first objection they told you, which was the transition of the office and things like that, you might find that you can actually tackle that objection, but you still won't have a sale at the end of the day. And so you'll think, hey, I nailed that. And they say, you know what? I think we could do this maybe. I see why it's important for me to, take this coaching on now, because during the transition we're going to be able to implement some new stuff. And then you go, oh, cool. And then you ask for a close, and then they go, no, I still need to think about it. And you start to ask yourself, what happened there? I thought I pinned down their objection and I tackled it. Well, you're never going to close the sale if you haven't actually encountered and addressed their chief objection, their unspoken objection, that second objection, the one that's usually the reason that they're going to move forward or not move forward. And so what you want to start thinking is, they will almost never tell you. Now, this is a patient, client, it doesn't matter. This is sales 101, guys. Whatever they're telling you is probably not the real objection. So I was doing a team training for some high-level doctors, and I was bringing this up to both team and doctors because this is so vital. You have to get to that unspoken objection. And one of the phrases you can use, which is just lethal, and I learned this in a book by Frank Betcher, it's using this phrase. In addition to that, is there any other reason that you wouldn't move forward? So it's that in addition to that. So you address it, you say, listen, I get it, okay? So the doctor's telling me, hey, I'm in a transition, I can't do this right now. I can't invest in coaching for myself because of the things that are happening in the office. And I say, Dr. Smith, I completely understand. I agree with that. I would never want you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with. But in addition to that, is there any other reason that you wouldn't move forward? And see, this opens its magic because it kind of allows them now to go a little bit further, because then they go, well, now that you mention it, there's another thing that is kind of happening, and cash flow is tight for me right now, and I'm thinking that the money just might not work out if I'm trying to do this coaching. Now, see, now you can go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, and I would never want you to have a financial commitment that you can't honor and would put you in a financial stress. Is there anything in addition to that for why you wouldn't move forward? So you're going to keep working down the line until they say, no, that's it. 9 times out of 10, that last thing they told you is probably the true objection. And it's such an easy way to get to the objections, because oftentimes this is what I find so many people struggle with, myself included. And this has been a little bit of magic for me, just even hearing. I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, right? Because you never know. And so you're still not going to know, but generally that little phrase is going to mean so much to you. So if you're a dentist right now and you're listening to this and you're thinking, I don't know how to continue to get things out of the patient so that I can get all these things on the table so I can start to address them one by one. So if the patient says, Doc, it's a lot of money. $30,000 to fix my mouth, that's a lot of money. You could say, sir, I completely understand that it's a lot of money. You have to understand, though, that your mouth, this is an investment that you're going to make that's going to last you a lifetime, hopefully. And, you can never invest enough in your health. And so I think this is a great decision for you. I'm sorry, I'm trying to role play this while I'm driving. So, but I'm thinking about, how would you say this? So that patient says, Doc, it's a lot of money. I completely understand. It's an investment, things like that. You get down and you say, Mrs. Smith or Mr. Smith, in addition to the money, is there any other reason that you wouldn't invest in your health? And I'm going to tell you, there's something else probably there. And they'll say, I'm thinking about moving. And I'm a little bit concerned that if I do this, how am I going to get followed up? Or, things like that. Now you're starting to get to maybe an unspoken objection. They're thinking about moving. They're not going to tell you that right away. But you could uncover that. And then you say, Mr. Smith, in addition to that, is there any reason that you want to move forward? Right? So there was that one piece that I wanted to share with you guys, because that's a little sales tip for you, that even if you're not great at selling, if you use that phrase, I guarantee you're going to get a better dialogue with your patients. When you get a better dialogue with your patient, you're going to be able to further address their chief concerns or kind of objections when it comes to a larger case. Get it out in the open so you can start to tackle these things, because there's nothing more frustrating than you thinking this patient's going to move forward. You got a really good feeling, but you never address the chief objection, the unspoken objection, and you'll never get a close. You'll never get a patient to move forward if you have not addressed that objection. So really, really dig into this. You can't do that enough. You've got to be thinking, how do I go deeper with this person? Because I really want to make sure that I can lock this down and know for a fact that this patient is ready and committed to move forward. So if you're in any sales environment, and we're all selling something, but if you're in a sales environment, that little phrase, in addition to that, will save you a tremendous amount of time and headaches. I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you for bearing with me. Probably the audio quality is not the best on this episode, but hopefully you got value out of this. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for the ratings and the reviews and the feedback. It means so much to me. And if you guys ever want to reach out to me, you can go to the link in the description of this episode, or you can send me an email to admin, ADMIN, at mountainskycoaching.com, and I'd be happy to set up any time to talk to you. You get a complimentary coaching call. I really want to help you guys get where you want to go, and I just try to create as much value for you as humanly possible. So you guys take care, have a great day, and I'll see you at the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schalitz. We'll see you on the next episode.